Slanjava, welcome to Whiskey and Synths. You've just found the #1 channel that blends whiskey drinking and music making. My name's Dave and you've just found your whiskey fueled music production life coach. Alright, so welcome to the show. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this book here, an amazing book by Rod Judkins. It's called The Art of Creative Thinking. Alright, and I want to give you 4 examples from it that show why it's an awesome book for music producers. Because as a music producer, you've got to learn all the technical stuff, you've got to learn about sound design and EQ and all these things, but you're also an artist. It's actually quite a hard job being a music producer. And I think sometimes getting over the barriers to the artistry side of it rather than the sort of technical side of it are almost harder to learn and less spoken about. And that's why books like this are great. That's why I try and advocate for that kind of thing on this channel as well. So we're going to have a look at the book, have a look at 4 main lessons from it. Hopefully Rod doesn't mind me sharing 4 lessons from it, and then hopefully that'll inspire you to have a look at it yourself. It's brilliant, and even if you're not going to get the book, you should, but if you're not, hopefully these 4 lessons from it that reference some famous musicians and artists and things will help you today in this video. So just a little quick overview of the book. It is, of course, The Art of Creative Thinking by Rod Judkins. 89 ways to see things differently. So it's separated into chapters that last like 2 or 3 pages, and each one tells you about an idea to get your creativity going, an example of a famous artist or musician using that idea, and a quote at the end. So the format's like bang, 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 bang. So it's quite fun to skim through or just dip in and out of. Your man Rod Judkins is actually an artist and also a lecturer at Central St Martin's in London, one of the most famous art schools in the world, and he teaches on creativity there. So this is quite cool. You're kind of getting taught some things he teaches at one of the greatest art schools in the world for the price of this book. And this book's a bit older now, so it's pretty cheap to pick up. So that's quite cool. You're almost hacking a bit of an education there. So Rod's an amazing writer. Let's get into some of the lessons from the book itself. So on this page here, page 151, there's a great chapter called Don't Experiment, Be an Experiment, and it references how the Beatles, who really, have got a lot of famous songs, but were actually wild explorers. Even though they're kind of poppy and rocky, they really explored and pushed the boundaries of what was available at the time. They're one of the first rock bands to include a sitar, one of the first rock bands to have a string orchestra on a track. And they were always pushing the boundaries using tapes and technology. They even used like a sampler, a mellotron, which was almost like a 1960s sampler that triggered little tape loops. And then they changed the tape loops out of it and put different tape loops in, and they would take one song that John had written and another song Paul had written and mash them together. So they're actually super inventive and always trying to push the boundaries. And what they said is, Paul actually quoted here saying, we would try it, just for us. If it sounds crappy, okay, we'll lose it, but it might just sound good. So that attitude means you have to get rid of your fear of failure. How many rubbishy experiments did the Beatles have that we haven't heard? How many weird techniques they try out that sucked? And when you're in a DAW in Ableton and stuff, it's even easier than ever to undo what you just did. So keep that playful, experimental mindset. And it is tricky, because you've got a lot of unlearning to do. At school and other places you're taught to, don't be outrageous, don't think that's a stupid idea, that's crazy, that'll never work. How many times have you heard stuff like that? So go with your outrageous ideas. Try things other people might sound stupid. There's clips of them in the background if you listen to demos of the Beatles or clips of the recording sessions where they're just singing random lyrics that are totally outrageous and they're falling about laughing. You need that safe environment to kind of do your work where you don't mind if you're laughing or saying something stupid, and that's where quite often the best ideas come from. So keeping playful and sort of experimenting is a really good kind of lesson to take away. That's just one of the things in the book. Let's have a look at another chapter that's useful. So on page 138, there's a great little chapter that's take what you need, and it's about how having influences is okay. And I'm sure you've probably heard the quote before, great artists don't borrow, they steal. And it kind of mentions in here how humans aren't a photocopier machine. Even if you take your influences quite directly, they're never going to come out exactly the same as the way it went in, you know, because you process it through your own individual sort of lens, you know. So I think it's quite freeing to think, yeah, it's okay to have my influences. Obviously, you don't want to be a total copycat, but to be inspired by someone else is okay. And there's a good example of that in here. And this is at the time of Picasso. And what happened was Jacques Lipchitz, if I've pronounced that right, probably haven't, who was a painter at the time, they were all living in the same place. And he says, I remember one day when Jean Gris told me about a bunch of grapes he had seen in a painting by Picasso. And then in the next day, these grapes appeared in a painting by Jean Gris. And then the next time, the day after, the actual bowl appeared in a painting by Picasso. So it's kind of funny how they can all influence each other. And these are some of the most famous painters of that era as well. And they were totally okay with just like inspiring each other and vibing off each other. So, you know, that's fine. It's happened to me before. You know, I've taken ideas from somewhere. Yeah, other people have copied my ideas. And, you know, it's just the way it goes. You know, a good thing if you ever feel like you're being copied though, is this expression is like, I probably wasn't the first and I definitely won't be the last to do that. So just to flip this sort of little lesson on its head, if you do feel like you're being copied, that's a good thing to always remember, because you can get pretty angry about that. And I might do a whole video about that later, but you know, take what you need and kind of run with it and filter it through your own unique lens. So just before we get into the last two lessons from this book and this book review, you can already tell from the review I love it. Hopefully some nuggets from it are helping you out. Let me know what other books you've been reading you really like in regards to music production or creativity. Drop in the comments, share that with other people, and in the comments we can all be inspired by hearing about what other great resources there are out there. And hopefully if you share that, you'll be helping someone else. You'll be helping me, because I'm always looking for stuff like that as well. So drop a comment, what resources, books, or videos are you enjoying down below in regards to music production. It'd be awesome to see that. So in this next kind of little chapter on page 122, this one, it's to stand out, work out what you stand for. So what do you stand for? You know, and if you can really define that, what you feel is important, you know, that'll help you stand out as a music producer with your music, because it'll filter into it, like I said, filter into that lens in a different way of what you stand for. So some artists even took this to like actually writing out a manifesto, but sometimes they weren't like beautifully written essays, they were just passionate, scrawled out things on a bit of paper, or sometimes they were just one quick quote. Like I quite like some of them in here. For example, we've got some artists, Mark Rothko, Adolf Gottlieb and Barnett Newman declared, "This world of imagination is fancy-free and violently opposed to common sense." Which ties back to one of our last points about being outrageous and experimental. And also, I like this one by the designer John Maeda. And basically, John says, more emotions are better than less. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you want, your own sort of manifesto. But if you've got a project on the go, it's good to figure that out, and that's like your sort of true north when you're kind of bringing your projects together. Does it fit that? No, we'll maybe lose that. Does it almost fit it? Yeah, let's maximize that element of it. And that means your identity as an artist and music producer will show through a lot better. So on page 78, this one's good. It's open your mind. And I like the illustration there as well. And you know, that's kind of a bit of a cliched saying, but it gives a good example of how Andy Warhol, famous artist, had this studio and literally the doors were open. Anyone could walk in. There was no security really when it was open, and he was working there. Obviously at night, it was probably locked down, but actually probably not him, it was just partying at night. But anyway, it was open, like, you know, someone who's a famous person could walk in. Someone who's like, you know, a normal working person, working a job on the street could peep in and come in and chat. And Andy Warhol, although a little bit shy apparently, would make the effort to chat to people and kind of converse with them and get ideas and share ideas and listen to what people had to say about his work as well. So opening your mind, it's more about being open to suggestions, and ideas from other people, and then filtering that through your own decision-making process. You don't have to take on board what they say, but sometimes you can really come across an amazing idea from someone. So I think that's a really cool example about how people are important and how letting in ideas is important. And although you've got your true north, your manifesto as such, you are willing to let other people influence that and have ideas along the way, because the path to like where you want to get to isn't normally like a straight line. It's like squiggly in that. So I think that's quite a good chapter, that one there as well. And like I said, they're just like small chapters, these, a couple of pages. And yeah, it's just brilliant. The book's awesome, and I could go on about it for ages, but yeah, Art of Creative Thinking. He's also got another book called Make Brilliant Work, which I'll probably do a book review of as well, and share some insights from that book with you too. But hopefully you're enjoying these. Like I said, leave a comment if you know other good books from music producers, if you are aware of other good resources for music producers, share that with me so I can keep learning, and our community and clan in the comments can like share that. Hopefully keep that a positive place for people to hang out. And also, if you've watched this far to the end, thank you very much. Remember, down below, you've got a link that gives you like a free 10-step guide that I made. 10 steps to finishing your tracks, get out of 8-bar loop hell and being finished track heaven. 10 days, 20 minutes a day, you can do this with this guide below. Hopefully that'll help out with some practical steps as well. It's a free gift from me just to say thanks for watching these videos. So yeah, enjoy your music making, enjoy your whiskey. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I will catch you later. And today we've reviewed The Art of Creative Thinking by Rod Judkins. Hope you enjoyed it. Whiskey.